Hello chapters, I want to thank you for taking part in the first Equality for the Win campaign action. Your support through phone banking is absolutely critical to the success of the Maryland DREAM Act, which is question 4 on the Maryland ballot. Our weapon at the Harry Potter Alliance has always been love, and it's time to use it to fight for equality this Sunday and Monday. I understand that many of you have just heard about this ballot question and may have some questions of your own. That's understandable, and that's what this video is here for. Let's first start off by talking about what exactly the Maryland DREAM Act is. The Maryland DREAM Act is different from the federal DREAM Act and allows Maryland kids to pay in-state tuition at state colleges or universities provided that they meet 3 criteria. To be eligible for the Maryland DREAM Act, you must have graduated from a high school in Maryland, you or your parents must have been paying taxes for the last 3 years, and you must have completed at least 2 years of community college. The act was passed in April of 2011 by the Maryland legislature, but opponents seeking to repeal the law have put it up to popular vote, and that's why it's so important to have your help getting out the vote. Question 4 will ask voters to vote for or against the Maryland DREAM Act. We want voters to vote for it to uphold the law. Your work is really invaluable to protecting the Maryland DREAM Act. Studies show phone banking to be one of the most effective ways of getting out the vote there are. This is an excellent way for your chapters to create real and direct change in a policy for both immigration and education equality, while also competing in a chapter's cup to win $250 for your chapter. The whole country will be watching when the results come out for this ballot question, because this is the first time such a law is put up to popular vote. If we win this thing, it can mean the DREAM Act coming to more states, or more importantly, greater support for the federal DREAM Act. As you may know from my video in which I come out as undocumented, I myself am a dreamer. That is, I would be eligible for the federal DREAM Act, and if I lived in Maryland, I'd be eligible for theirs as well. Of the over 65,000 dreamers who graduate from American high schools every year, less than 5% are able to attain a college education. This is because they must pay out-of-state tuition in the state that they grew up in, as I am doing in my college, which can be 3 times the cost of in-state tuition. In-state tuition for Maryland state schools costs $8,900 per year, compared to $27,300 for out-of-state tuition. Being able to afford college will allow these students to become a valuable asset to boosting the economy by becoming a part of the Maryland workforce. Let me go over some questions that you may get while phone banking or that you may have as well. How much would the DREAM Act cost the state of Maryland? Students eligible for the DREAM Act have been paying taxes for at least 3 years and thus contributing to the funding for state education. The estimated cost for supporting the tuition rate Dreamers would receive is $780,000. However, undocumented Marylanders have paid $300 million in state and local taxes in the last year alone. This covers the cost of education for Dreamers over 350 times. The number of students eligible for the Maryland DREAM Act is so small that the cost for the state is marginal. This life-changing law would greatly benefit Maryland and should be seen as an investment in an educated Maryland workforce. Does the DREAM Act incentivize unauthorized immigration? The decision to leave one's home country is made due to much harsher and much greater circumstances than the cost of in-state tuition. In fact, in the other 12 states that have passed state DREAM Acts, Dreamers consistently made up less than 0.5% of the total population of students in in-state schools. In short, this law would not create an incentive for moving to Maryland. Would the DREAM Act take spots away from in-state applicants? No, Dreamers are counted as international students for admission purposes and would not take away spots from in-state applicants. Have other states passed DREAM Acts? Yes, as I mentioned before, 12 states have passed state DREAM Acts since 2001. These are California, Connecticut, Illinois, Kansas, Nebraska, New York, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Utah, Texas, Rhode Island, and Washington. Don't worry, you're not expected to know all of this information or the details of the numbers. I do recommend that you study these frequently asked questions, but don't freak out if you get asked one of them and you can't answer. You're not expected to be a policy expert, and it's okay to tell someone on the phone that you don't know the answer and point them in the direction of more resources. However, if you want to be thorough, it may be helpful to have these FAQs printed out and with you while you're phone banking. In front of you, you'll have a list of people to call that are likely already supportive of the DREAM Act, and thus the purpose of these calls won't be to convince people that this law is right, but rather to get them out to vote. You could be the one person that gives that person the willpower to go out and vote. Vote for question 4 is the most important line, and plus, it's fun to say. Vote for question 4. Vote for question 4. It's fun. It's fun. I like rhymes. The list will have boxes next to each name for you to check to note whether there was a disconnected line, if it was the wrong number, if the person was busy, not home, and some others. All of these will be in codes, for example, NH for not home, but you will get a key to figure it all out. I think you're ready for us to go through the call script and see how the phone banking is actually done, and I'll give you some extra tips on more effective phone banking after this demonstration of how it's done. Alright, let's do this. Dialing a number. Hello, is Jimmy Gonzalez there? Yep, this is Jimmy. Hi, my name is Julian. I'm a volunteer for Educating Maryland Kids. We're calling all of our supporters of the DREAM Act to remind them that Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th, and we need their help to defend the dream and vote for Question 4. Will you be voting for Question 4 on Tuesday? If the person already voted is ineligible to vote, undecided, or opposed, or they just say something crazy like this, "No, I hate equality," then this is how you respond. Okay, sir, well, thank you for your time, goodbye. If the person says they will not vote, then you can respond like this. Well, as you know, Question 4 is about fairness and equality, and making sure that all Maryland kids are allowed to pay in-state tuition regardless of immigration status. And this is the part where you talk about why the issue is important to you. This issue is personally important to me because I'm a dreamer myself, and I know the hardship of paying out-of-state tuition. Can you make it a priority on Tuesday to get to your polling place and vote for Question 4? Yes, as a matter of fact, I will be. That's great. We're calling people from all over Maryland, and it looks like a lot of people are going to be voting this election. It's going to be a really tight race, and your vote can make the difference. Do you know where your voting precinct's polling location is? I do know where my polling place is, thank you. If they don't know where it is, you can tell them because it's going to be on your list. Is that close enough to walk, or are you going to be driving or taking the bus? I think I'm going to work voting into my morning jog. Your precinct's going to be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Do you know if you're going to be voting in the morning, afternoon, or evening? Like I said, morning jog. Do you know if you're going to be heading to the polling location from home, from work, or somewhere else? Definitely from home. I have awesome employers who gave me election day off. That's great, and thank you again for being a good citizen who votes and for your promise to vote for Question 4 on Tuesday. Have a good rest of the day. You're welcome, you too. And it's as easy as that. Follow the script, but speak from the heart. Let the script be more of a guide, but put more of you in it. You're going to be more comfortable, and you're going to be more clear if you're talking about why you're doing this. Try practicing this a couple times with your other chapter members to get comfortable with it, and now here are some helpful tips to keep in mind while you're phone banking. Don't forget to smile. Yeah, I know you're making calls, but smiling can actually make you sound more enthusiastic and thus make people more interested in what you're saying. Even over the phone, people can tell when you're smiling. Stay positive and don't argue. Make sure you sound optimistic about this law, which you should be, and if they disagree with your viewpoint, don't argue. The best thing to do is just move on to another call. We are in the last weekend before the election, and it's really not the time to be persuading people. Don't pretend to be an expert. As I said before, it's okay if you can't answer every question or if you don't know every detail. Don't be afraid to let them know, hey, I don't know the answer to this question, but you can direct them to jufj.org or educatingmarylandkids.org for more information. If you have any more questions regarding the Maryland DREAM Act or phone banking, don't hesitate to email me. My email is julian@thehpalliance.org. Thank you again for volunteering to make these calls. It means a lot to me, to the HPA, and more importantly, to the Maryland Dreamers. Stay awesome. No, I hate equality.